Welcome back to Lucid Living. And if this is your first time, welcome, welcome. I'm so happy to have you aboard. My name is Andrew Larkin. I'm an actor, model, performer, storyteller, breathwork coach. And today I'm going to be your host, your guide for today's podcast episode. All right, my friends, we are rocking and rolling. And today we have it's a bit of an overdue interview conversation with a heck of a human being, a heck of an artist, an athlete. I am so stoked and blessed to dive into the conversation today. But before we introduce this amazing guest, we are going to do some nice grounded breath work exercises. So today I'm feeling a box breath, a balancing breath. It's going to be an inhale for 4, a hold for 4, an exhale for 4, and a hold for 4. The balancing breath just allows a little calmness, a little stillness. So whether this is your morning, your afternoon, or your night, you bring a little calm, a little serenity, a little peace, a little mindfulness to move forward. It's just good for the soul, good for the body, and that's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. So take this moment for you, ground yourself, and let's begin with an inhale. Oh, wait, sorry. And for this breathing technique, remember, we're going to inhale through the nose. And as we inhale, we're going to expand the belly outwards like you're filling up a water balloon, that diaphragm nice and big. Hold at the top, exhale out the mouth, and bring that belly back to your center. Nice and slow, nice and expansive. All righty, righty. Let's go in 3, 2, 1. Big inhale through the nose. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 2, 3, 4. Exhale out the mouth. 3, 2, 1. Hold it. 3, 2, 1. Inhale through the nose, big belly. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 2, 3, 4. Exhale out the mouth. 3, 2, 1. Hold it. 3, 2, 1. Last one, big inhale through the nose. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 2, 3, 4. Exhale out the mouth. 3, 2, 1. Hold it. 3, 2, 1. All right, you can return to your natural breathing. Wiggle the toes, wiggle the fingertips, bring some energy into the body. Take a sip of water if you feel called. And my friends, today we have ourselves an actor. He's an entrepreneur, ladies and gentlemen, a filmmaker, a producer. He's an OG baller, and he's a fellow heavy hitter. Is my boy Phil Blevins. Brother, welcome to the podcast.
Dude, so happy to be here, man. Big fan of the pod. Watched almost every episode. So
Whoa,
thank you so much for having me on.
thank you, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Now, we start every episode off with just the present moment. So, where are you geographically, and how are you feeling in this particular season of life?
Good, man. I'm in New York City right now, feeling pretty good this season of life. I'm pretty caffeinated right now, ready to rock. It's been great, man. Just finished up a movie with a couple of our heavy hitters co-stars and an absolute blast, man. So I'm feeling very fortunate and peaceful.
Amen, brother. Amen. All right, beautiful. All right, I like to dive into this is like the most loaded question I will ever ask anyone, but I like giving people the opportunities to kind of share their own stories. So I find that like when I connect with other people and even when I dive into who I am as a person, so much of my habits and ideologies and ways of living came from childhood, environments, family members, and then how you're kind of raised that kind of led you up, and then you go to elementary school, then middle school, then high school, and then like all these twists and turns that kind of leads you to where you are today. So again, loaded question. You can take this in any direction for however how long you want. But what was life like for a young Phil? And what were those steps that took you all the way to where you are in this beautiful time right now?
Oh man. All right. Yeah. Might need your help a little here. Okay. Well, I was born on a Sunday. It was partially cloudy. It was pretty nice weather. Fall. No, I'm just kidding. I grew up in Annapolis, Maryland, born and raised. And then it was a great area to grow up, in my opinion. Great area for kids. A lot of outdoorsy stuff, a lot of boating, fishing, tons of sports. It's just far enough out of DC, just far enough out of Baltimore that you can, kind of get the city energy if you need it. You can also be in the middle of the woods. You could be wherever. So it's a great childhood. Definitely grew up outside a lot, hanging out on the water, and then of course sports took over a good amount of the childhood. And
Mm.
yeah, man, I don't know. How was I raised? I had great parents, really supportive. Help me out here. Where am I headed? The majority of growing up, I would say, was pretty sports heavy. I'm an actor now. It wasn't really a consideration of mine for a career choice or anything, but I always say if you look back, there's definitely signs pointing towards that.
Mhm. So
So,
what when you're playing so like sports heavy, we'll dive into the basketball, but you're
oh yeah,
saying it's a very different kind of world with at least for me, you're growing up in it and then you're around this like massive amount of testosterone. You got this locker room talk and it's a different kind of dynamic. And then you have like the jocks kind of guys, and then you have like the theater kids. And I felt so uncomfortable to be able to break out of the
yeah,
jock label, and that's like super stereotypical, but it was also like kind of a real reality. But like there were moments where I felt like a fish out of water in my own environment, and I was like, I kind of want to try that. There's this like weird pull to do it. So what was it like going from like sports guy, you're the basketball
yeah,
guy, and then like what were those signs along the way where it was like this is
yeah,
interesting,
yeah.
this sparks?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I don't know if I ever felt totally trapped into that box. I mean, I could definitely see being around that type of energy for sure. But I think for me, sports was just kind of like a given. It was always a part of life and it was always there. And then all of those other interests kind of sprinkled along the way. And it made total sense kind of looking back that I would even head towards a career in entertainment and acting specifically. But we grew up right down the street from the Naval Academy. So that had a crazy big impact on me, dude. And I really, really was set on trying to get in there and trying to have a career in the military.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that like most of my activities growing up, at least at an age like when you're entering high school and you're starting to think about, all right, what kind of person do I look like to this college as a, candidate? And I was like, all right, what type of person is going to be in there and going to be able to not only get into the Naval Academy, but become a leader in the military and do all of that. And obviously, an athlete is part of that. But so I kind of started shaping everything I did towards that path in a way. So getting super, super involved in school, probably taking too many harder classes in school, probably loaded that up a little too much. But and then really thinking of like, all right, what type of person do I need to become to do that? And that was kind of honestly opened the doors to a lot of really exciting creative things that would later probably sprinkle into the entertainment career. But I mean, even just as a little kid, I guess, I mean, I was always putting on little shows for the family and the friends. My mom was super supportive of anything that we might have latched on to. So I remember like we used to want to, when I say we, I had a younger sister and I now have three younger siblings, a couple of step siblings in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
But just performing, and she went out to Home Depot. My mom, she built us a little like probably like a little 9-inch stage in our unfinished basement at the time. Just got all the plywood and the screws and built us a little stage. Then ran like a fishing line across the wall through a little curtain, like a shower curtain. That
Mm-hmm.
was our curtain, dude. We had a little stage in the basement, had a little back area for changing, backstage area where we kept all of the previous year's Halloween costumes. And I don't know, it was probably not very entertaining, but a lot of energy going different places and trying to entertain people and sell
Mm-hmm.
tickets to the show in the basement. But
Mm-hmm.
that was definitely a sign of like, okay, that's something to not ignore for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Got into doing little magic tricks. I still dabble a little bit.
Dude, I've
Uh,
seen your photo. Wait, I saw your photo shoot. That was real. That was you when like the cards were like
Jeez, man. Yeah, that was me.
that was awesome.
That's so obnoxious. But
No, dude, that was great.
no, yeah. So that was kind of like a little thing growing up, just messing around with cards, trying to entertain anybody. Like even on like away games that doing through sports in high school, like trying to entertain the cat or not my castmates, my teammates,
Mm-hmm.
trying to make somebody laugh, entertain them. That was always a part of it. Um, Maybe like middle school. got a hold of one of those like flip cameras. You remember those things?
Oh yeah.
You like hold them like vertically, you like flip the side, and the little USB flips out.
Pops up, yeah.
Dude, I latched onto that thing hardcore. That was like kind of the start of like, all right, we're making YouTube videos, we're gonna make little action movies. But one of the big things with that was honestly like teaching me how to like edit and how to consider how to shoot something, and editing became actually one of my younger self's best skills. And I would use that video editing skill to kind of get myself out of writing papers in school and make a video instead, and
Mhm.
like kind of express that. Can't tell you how many times I've started and stopped making YouTube videos just to like have some sort of creative outlet and make something. So that
Mhm.
was definitely another big sign, especially literally making little short films. I mean, that's in a nutshell what we're doing now. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, it was still focused on military. Moving into high school, I still had that editing skill kind of in my pocket. Still use it occasionally, and I was a pretty shy kid, to be honest. So that even if I was entertaining people at home and like maybe close friends, I was not the type of guy to definitely hop on stage and put myself out there. I'm not raising my hand every second in class. I'm not that. I wasn't that kind of guy. But I'm now like, all right, I'm on this path. I'm trying to become this amazing like college candidate to go be a officer in the military. I'm gonna have to break out of my shell, get involved in school. So high school, we had one of the many clubs and societies that I joined was in charge of putting on the talent show at school. So we're having our meeting. We're going through kind of, all right, who wants to sell the tickets? Who wants to collect the tickets at the door? Who's going to be backstage getting people ready? Who's going to be, setting up the judges' tables? And who are going to be the MCs? Who's going to be on stage introducing everybody and all the acts? My buddy looked at me and he's like, yo, you want to do it? And I'm like, yeah, all right, yeah, sure, why not? Um, Kind of just starting this amazing experience throughout high school of hosting almost every on-stage event at school, and which obviously very quickly gets you out of your shell and makes you more comfortable being silly in front of people and talking in front of groups, and public speaking became a better skill of mine after that, just because of the amount of reps getting in. But dude, I mean, it was like pep rallies, fashion shows, fundraisers. We were the guys. We were the guys on the mic, threw on little fedoras and vests, and we thought we were really cool and hosting that. But it got us out of class, and it started surrounding me around that community because we were often around the theater kids, often around the improv group at our school. And I mean, I'm a big fan of just being around people who can, you know, riff jokes and just joke around all day and have really fun energy. I'm all about that. And so that was like a really cool exposure to that.
Mhm.
Due to sports, couldn't ever do any of the school plays just because of the schedule.
Mhm.
But that was kind of a big eye opener of like, I really, really enjoy this. We're putting on something to entertain someone, and really, really latched on to that.
Mhm.
Um, so those were some of those signs, dude, that definitely pointed towards a potential career in entertainment and maybe doing that. So I'm going through high school. Basketball is the main sport. I'm in junior ROTC. I'm on the rifle team for them, so I'm wearing the uniform. I'm looking like a Boy Scout in history class
Mhm.
as I'm in uniform.
Yeah.
um, I'm going through. I'm getting some slight looks for basketball, and I'm sure that we could talk about this all day. Probably you being a hooper as well, dude. The East Coast is a great competitive sport. I mean,
Mhm.
competitive area for that sport. Like we have some serious basketball on the East Coast, man, and that was outside of the pursuit of trying to find a path towards the military. That consumed my life. Like it
Mhm.
was year round, and then it was trying to get 4 hours a day after school, and then showing up early to practice, and then staying late getting your free throws in. Hiring like an extra trainer, doing two ball drills, and doing all that, and just really pushing that hard.
Mhm.
And towards the end of high school, starting the Naval Academy application, starting to do that. I actually met the coach through when I was playing AAU, and it's not like a typical path for college. I think know anything about service academies. It's like a 2 year application process, and there's so many aspects that go into that, including your normal college application stuff, but you're doing physicals, drug tests, hearing, vision, all of your military stuff too. You've got your candidate fitness assessment. You've got numerous letters of recommendation. You have to get a congressional nomination. So I'm now applying separately to, my congresswomen in the area and then my two senators in the state of Maryland. And I'm interviewing with them. I'm meeting with my blue and gold officer. I'm doing all of these things to try and figure out how to get into this. And inside of that, I'm in the most competitive and the most applied to area, which is literally in where it's located. So it's a lot for sure. So anything, if it was basketball that could potentially help me get my foot in the door, maybe that's the move. But you still have to have all your other stuff in check, you know? So I was working on getting that stuff in check and progressing through it. Coming up on senior year of high school, I've got a couple little things to do still for the military. I'm looking into ROTC programs at other colleges in case it doesn't work out, which was more than likely not going to work out. You really only apply into like a couple spots for your area to go to the academy. And everyone's squared away, man. Like everyone who goes there definitely deserves to go there. It's the best type of person. And so coming into senior year, I'm starting to have a little bit of back problems, and basketball season's approaching. I'm like, all right, let's get this checked out, start going to whatever, chiropractor, doing whatever. It's starting to get a little worse. Season actually starts. It's going to be senior year. It's going to be a big, year. You're the leader of the team. You're, experienced. You're ready to rock. And go down pretty hard one day at practice, and my back's locked up. So people help me out, get to the chiropractor, get to the doctor, and they're like, all right, well, something's going on here that we need to go get you scanned. Got a bunch of scans, got all the stuff. They sent me to back specialists, sports medicine, all the mess. And I mean, long story short, it's just a mix of disc problems, spine problems, nerve problems. I couldn't even tell you. And they're like, you're not playing basketball this season. You're not lifting weights. Hold off right now. And I'm like, well, I have all of these things right now that are necessary for me to physically do in order to literally get accepted into an officer training program, whether that be a service academy or ROTC. So that was a huge punch in the face, man. My whole identity for that whole pretty much 4 or 5 years, even wanting to join the military as a young kid, was like, what do you mean I'm not going to be able to do this? So that was a weird time, man. I didn't even get to finish out my senior season, which very unsatisfying. I'm sure the people who graduated during COVID relate a little bit. It's just like a little different when you don't get to finish how you started, I'm sure. But I'm now stuck with a very small amount of backup options for college. And dude, I don't know about you, but I feel like growing up, you're kind of told that college is one of the only next steps after high school. And I wish that I had probably been told that or other options too. You're not going to become an officer in the military without college, but you're going to, there's other paths that you could take. So I'm now stuck in the last maybe semester and a half of high school trying to figure out, all right, where am I going to go to school? I got to pick one of these backup schools. I'm not going to be studying the same thing. I'm now trying to assess myself physically to see if I can reapply, figure out another path to the military. That's a whole thing. And now I'm going to a small backup school on the East Coast that just had a large amount of majors that I could choose from. So I'm like, all right, man, I don't know. I'm just going to choose business, I guess. I'm going to go in as a business major. So I entered as a finance major into college. If you can you believe that, dude?
Bro,
Um,
I like I want you to keep going, but I just
yeah.
like I need to like share this because like I connect with you so deeply and like we're gonna have so many conversations. I have this like one question that I usually like chiming in where I call them awakenings. I'm like, and I think we've all had them at times in life where we think we're going in a certain direction, and then there's this like drastic, tumultuous event that is like, why me, why me, why me? And then it takes you in a different direction. And in the moment, it's like the worst thing in the world. But then when you kind of step back, you're like, that's why. And I feel like that was your moment there where it's like you don't even know if you're going to be able to physically be able to do ROTC. Basketball is done. Like that's the year that people are really looking and making their decisions to go to colleges. For me, dude, it happened my junior year though. So our basketball team, like me and my boys, like we've been playing AAU ball since I was in like sixth grade on the same team. And most of the guys were a year above me. So by the time my junior year came around, it was like one of the best basketball teams like our school had in a long time. Like I was so motivated coming from like sophomore year going into junior year, like playing the best basketball I'd played, waking up at 5 a.m. before school, like just grinding. And I got mono 2 days before our season opener. And I had to get ultrasounds and I missed the entire season except for our final game, which was our first round in states, and then we lost that game, but missed the whole season, dude. And junior year is a weird time because like summer of junior year, AAU ball is like the most important time because that's when you get recruited. That's when you go to the showcases. And I wasn't able to play AAU with my guys anymore. So I was playing with my one friend with this other team of guys who we kind of knew, but not really. And my heart was just like ripped out of it. I like didn't love it anymore. And I felt like I was going through the motions. So I quit that. And then I just kind of senior year came around. I was just kind of dicking around, honestly, just but I that was like the moment where I'm like, I'm not playing, I don't love this anymore, and I'm not playing basketball in college. And then again, in that moment, I was so depressed that like all junior year, dude, because my whole identity was basketball. And I just
Right.
went to school, I did homework, I came home, went to practice, was like getting shots up, but like it was like watching your guys like do the thing, and like they were number one team in the districts my junior year, and I like couldn't be a part of it. So it was so
Yeah.
tough, dude. But then had I done that, had I played junior year, had those experiences, I would have gone to a D3 basketball school.
Oh yeah.
Which I know a lot of people did. And I would have been a basketball player all 4 years. I probably would have been like partying and doing the thing and like grinding, and I would be a very different person. I'd be like such a
So,
different person. I don't know what I would have studied. I don't know like where I'd be. And then I ended up like you, dude. I went to maybe not the same like kind of high school, but my high school was like very much one of the top public schools in Pennsylvania, kind of like everyone's like we were like lower middle class. Like a lot of people were like Ivy League schools is like everyone's taking AP
yeah.
classes and preparing to do that. And there was just it wasn't an option. It was, but it wasn't to you had to go to college basically. Like we didn't know
Yeah.
another path outside of that. So then I ended up just like kind of picking a random college by the beach, and then I went to school for 4 years, and now I have like a lot of student debt from it, which kind of sucks. But I was able to kind of like
Yeah.
find myself through that. Granted, I do wish I like traveled and took a gap year or like discovered certain things and like
Yeah.
figured out another way, but my life would be very different had I
Yeah.
not
When
lost that.
you entered college, were you like going down a path in mind, like some sort of career option or something to study? Like, were you just like, I think this is what I have to do next?
Dude, I went in studying marine science because
Yeah.
Coastal Carolina has a good program there, and I love the ocean. And I
Yeah.
thought I was going to swim with dolphins, and I realized there was a lot of math and science, and it wasn't really up my alley. But I took an elective freshman year, first semester, and
Yeah.
I took a theater class. And again, just like I took a theater class my first time senior year in high school, and I just fell in love with it. Same thing
Game
freshman
over.
year.
Yeah.
And dude, it was a crazy thing. I remember afterwards just getting a lot of like positive reinforcement from my classmates and my teacher, and it was the last day before the end of the semester, and I was like gonna wait behind so I could go up to the teacher and be like, hey, I knew I wasn't going to do marine science, but I'm like, I think I want to do this, but like, what do you think? Is it okay? And I didn't have the courage, bro. And I walked out. So I didn't even say anything. And I was between theater and middle level education because one of my mentors was my basketball coach, who was a sixth grade science teacher. And my parents were like, I'm great with kids. And like, I could see that path, but I
Yeah.
always felt like I was settling. But it was the more practical route. So after freshman year, I was a middle level education major for a year and a half. And then like life kind of blew up and like I went to Costa Rica and Panama. My world just like expanded. And I was just like, I want to drop out, but I like I don't have that in me, I guess in my genes, which like, maybe I should have, but like I ended up like just making my own major, communication, sociology, and then I took another theater class senior year. Pandemic happened, but I like every time I took a theater class, it was like my love. And it just
Yeah.
like not that is like one of those things, but it came more naturally connecting with other people, discovering things about myself than sitting in a seminar class, like writing down notes for things I didn't really care about or like could apply in life. So
Yeah,
that's
no,
like long-winded. This isn't about me, but like I feel very similar in the
let's
connection.
flip the interview, dude. Let's turn it to you. I want to hear more, man.
No,
No,
yeah,
some,
we will though. We will. But okay, so now your world has been kind of turned
yeah.
upside down. You're a senior year in high school. What are those next steps in choosing that college that you go into, and then how does acting start playing a role?
Yeah, true, true. I don't. It wasn't really. There weren't any steps, man. I didn't have many options. I aimed pretty big. Most other schools were just because of an ROTC program potentially, and I didn't even get to finish applying in a way.
Dude,
So,
that's
I mean, it
two
was.
years. It's crazy.
What's that?
I'm just kind of blown away because like this is like so cool for people to listen to because I had no idea it was a 2 year process to get through that. That's
I mean,
intense.
at least the service academies, you should definitely be considering that pretty far in advance. I mean, it could have changed. It's been. I'm old now, man. We're in the same grade, I think.
Yeah.
But
Dude, it's funny because I watched the movie The Guardian with Kevin Costner and Ashton Kutcher. Love that movie, dude. And because of that movie, I actually like visited New Hampshire with my mom and Maine, and then we went back down and I visited a
Coast Guard stuff.
Coast Guard school,
Yeah.
dude. I was like, dude, maybe I want to do the Coast Guard. But then also I think we were being guided, dude, because I mean, my
Yeah.
mom, we're like very spiritual, and there's something about like the discipline and like there's so much beauty in the discipline and the work ethic, but
Oh,
it's
it's beautiful.
stripped like as an artist, dude, as a creative at heart, it strips away all individuality and like being, you know, you're kind of like it's
It's true.
maybe
Yeah.
not, I don't, so it's like
And
I don't
maybe
know
it
if I
wasn't the
would,
path, man.
yeah, but it's
Maybe.
everything really happens for a reason, but it's
Yeah.
really crazy to kind of hear like that's the process that people go through to go through that. And then you have, I mean, all the benefits and like all that stuff and being of service is so cool. And you're walking around Annapolis. I mean, I got family in Annapolis. I was there like a month ago and like everyone's walking around in uniforms. It's like kind of sick. It's kind of sick, but
Yeah.
dude, we were meant for something different.
No, that's for sure. No, absolutely.
All
That's
right, so
cool.
what college did you end up attending?
It's a small school in Connecticut. It's called Quinnipiac.
Yeah,
You know about it?
I've heard.
Yeah. Um, one of the few schools that I ended up getting into, and it was the closest option to home that had business, health science, and like among other majors that like if you wanted to change your mind, you could do that.
Mhm.
So that was, and the scholarship also helps. But
Yeah.
like, so that was where it went. I started as finance major. Dude, I hopped into a meeting with I, I assume it's called an advisor. I don't even remember how the system works. Like your kind of collegiate advisor who was a
Yeah.
finance professor. And right away, I'm like, this is not it. I'm finance. I could tell I'm hopping into these classes. I'm like interviewing to be in like the research investment club, and like I'm wearing suits and I'm doing all. And I got family in finance. I've got family in business, but I was like, oh man, there's something not here. Like I had a pretty creative, although it was heavily academic and very, you know, focused high school. It was still pretty. I felt creative, and I felt like I was able to still use that side of myself. Finance wasn't it, man. I switched probably in the first 2 weeks, and I was in the business school, and you're taking your 101s and your basic, I don't know, English class, whatever
Yeah.
you have to do, which was already frustrating, man. I'm like, this is such a waste of time, especially if you take a vigorous high school course load. It's just a joke. It just feels like such a waste of time when you get there. But I'm doing all that. I'm switched to an entrepreneurship and small business management major, a little more creative. And I start kind of getting involved in that kind of circle in college and kind of talking with people who are in that world, any clubs or any sort of alumni that come to speak who have started their own businesses. And, so I was like, oh, wow, this is really interesting. And I'm hanging with some dorm mates and some classmates, and we start throwing out ideas after one of these meetings one night. And we're like, we have a couple ideas. We have one that sticks, and we're like, we kind of like this. So we start whiteboarding it. And I mean, I knock college a lot, but I mean, it is a great place to collaborate with people your age and have pretty much all the resources you need.
Mhm.
So we took full advantage of that, and we started running. It was four of us. We started running with this business idea, and we're not going out. And I'm at this point never drank, never smoked, never done anything. I've still never smoked, but it's like I didn't even cuss, dude. Like I was like so like focused on being this type of person and being like, so I was probably going to do that anyway. But these other guys also locked in on this idea, and we're like locking ourselves in the business school, whiteboarding, whipping up business plans, learning about all of the ways to pitch to investors, using the school's resources to do all this. And we're like diving full in on this idea. And we spend hours every night, weekends, doing this, working on this business plan. We're coming to the end of semester one of college, and over winter break, our exact idea gets released into the world. And maybe if we were, mature adults and had experience as entrepreneurs, maybe we could have pivoted the idea and, competed with this. But we were like, that's it, man. We're done. We're screwed. Our idea's taken. That's it. We have to stop. And it
So
was it
someone
was this.
stole your idea?
No, not at all. No one stole our idea. It was just like a pretty common idea, and someone made it. Someone made it
Yeah.
happen. So we were just all right. That was a big swap because we're now like, okay, we have to, we just spent so many hours working on this, and I feel like it's because we were so young and immature that we were like, we just have to stop. Like they made it already. But we're going back into the second semester, and I'm feeling that same urge of like, what's the next thing? I probably blame my mother for this quality of mine, but it's always like, what's the thing you're working towards? What's the thing that you're trying to do? I feel like that's always been on my mind, especially through the high school experience. That served a major purpose of like, all right, outside of class, what are we working towards? We had a idea to run with. So I was like, all right, let me try and start another business. I was dabbling already in entrepreneurship in certain ways. Like I cut people's hair in the dorm bathroom. That was kind of interesting. I had like 10 clients who would come visit me
Dude,
because
that's nice.
freshmen couldn't, drive off campus at the time. So I'm cutting hair, I'm selling candy door to door, but like I'm like, what's the big thing that we're trying to like work towards? So I'm like, all right, I have video editing as a skill that I had growing up. So I leaned into that a little bit. And my brother and I, stepbrother, who's in our grade as well, same age, which was pretty cool growing up with someone, same in your same class kind of. We run with he's at a different college. He's in Texas. And we're like, all right, let's start a little marketing company. Social media is blowing up at the time. Influencers are starting to come out. It's like a big thing. We're like, you need social media for your business. You need videos. You need YouTube, as it still is today, obviously. But I'm acting like we're like 40 years old, man. I'm like, yeah, back then, like. So we start that up. We start our own LLC, and we make it official, get a little bit of gear, and we do all right, man. We start hustling and getting some clients up and down the East Coast. A lot of referrals, a lot of connections through classmates. We shot a couple graduations. We did a couple videos for like a grocery chain. We did some diners, some other food companies, and then yeah, Snapchat was pretty big at the time. We did a lot of Snapchat filters for whoever needed, like something specific. So we started running with that. Instead of doing our summer job after year one of college, we did that, and it was cool. And it's not like we made a killing or anything, but it was something to not go work at a restaurant and kind of do that. And it developed that video editing skill a lot more for me, and started, getting myself more confident trying to sell to someone, trying to learn more about that, because maybe that first idea in the first semester, we didn't quite get to that point of it. And this is more of a B2B type business. So we're having to know our stuff a little more. That was great, man. I had a really good experience with that. So I'm feeling creative. I'm feeling entrepreneurial. Going into year two, going into year two of college. This is where the magic happens, man. I'm like, all right, I'm skipping all of these 201, biology. I'm not taking these classes anymore. I'm going to skip right to the meat, man. And I already had this idea in my mind. Maybe it was slightly influenced by watching too many YouTube videos, but I was like, man, I need to get this business going and I need to drop out of school because that's what successful entrepreneurs do. They have a cool thing, it grows, and they drop out. And that's what I need to do. That's in the back of my head, and not a probably good thing going into the next semester. But I skipped straight to all of the awesome fun classes that you'd probably get to take later in college or that are more specific to your major, maybe. And I'm hopping into acting classes, film classes in the film school. I'm hopping into very creative, like specific entrepreneurship classes that mostly have upperclassmen. And I filled the schedule with those. And that's all I took. I didn't take any other like BS curriculum, like filler gap classes in the meantime. So taking all those, and I'm like, I walk into acting class, I walk into film class, I'm doing that, and I'm like, all right, as you kind of mentioned as well, man, it's just like, yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is it. And I kind of got this idea, like maybe it wasn't video that I was supposed to be doing. Like all of these, the company that we built, thinking that like, oh, I grew up editing. I was meant to start a video company. And I got this idea. I was like, it's not video, man. It's always been entertainment. Like it's been that. That's what I love. And it came very naturally and it felt awesome. The people are obviously super fun to be around. I leaned hardcore into that. And what does everybody do when they get this idea? I go and I Google how to become an actor, man, and start going down that path. And obviously hopping on casting websites. And that semester, it switched from trying to grow a business and trying to make money to it's all about that. And I started auditioning, going up and down the East Coast for short films, going into New York City, which wasn't too far away, auditioning there, doing student films, whatever anyone needed on campus as well for actors. Just said yes. And I built up a pretty decent little reel, man, for a brand new actor who pretty much has no training and didn't do anything. And I decided pretty much in that first month that I'm going to drop out and I'm going to do that, which I don't know what made me think I was going to go be a successful actor with like maybe 4 weeks of exposure.
You gotta have that. Wait, is this sophomore year?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that was it, man. I withdrew.
You withdrew.
I was like, I'm going to move to LA and I'm going to become an actor. And since I was already on the East Coast and I was in New York City so often, I was already kind of like, all right, I should probably just feel out New York for a while. So I ended up making the switch, spending all my money on a first 3 months in New York City, which felt like a lot of money then for sure. But moved in and then, dude, started auditioning and hustling. And I lucked out big time first year here. I taped for a number of things I've been doing. I was luckily booking shorts, done a million shorts. My goodness. But I taped for an indie feature, and that was pretty much the first full-length movie that I auditioned for. And funny story, I'm in New York. I'm apartment hunting in this 2-week period between dropping out and moving to New York. I'm up in the city. I'm about to sign a lease from a guy I've been emailing with, and he cancels on me 30 minutes before. I'm like, I just took the bus up from Maryland. I'm about to sign the lease, and you just canceled. You just rented it to someone else, like right now. It was a whole thing. So that 1 day trip to go sign the lease in New York City turned into me staying on a friend's couch for a week, trying to find a new replacement apartment. And that's probably one of my favorite stories, man, is this week-long thing of me hustling around with no proof of income or anything, trying to get approved to go live in New York City at like 19 or 20. It was insane. But this director that I taped for hit me up. And of course, I told him I live in New York City. Thank God I was there, man. I run down to meet this guy, and little did I know I was in his like top two in consideration for the role. So I got to meet this director. It's one of his first movies. He's wrote a book for it. It's this whole thing of like, okay, we've got this budget. He's coming from overseas. He's got his whole thing. They're scouting. They're in prep for the next 3 months for this movie. And I later secure an apartment and go to the in-person callback for this. I book it, man. In the first probably month and a half, book that. So I'm now prepping to be the lead of a feature film in my like first 3 months, and I know nothing. I know almost nothing, man. And it was an incredible exposure as a new New Yorker, but also as a new actor to shoot for 2 months around New York City and being in a large amount of the movie scenes. I learned incredibly fast on that movie and learned a little rhythm for memorizing, learned a little bit for everything. And it was like, whether or not the movie ended up good or not, like that's up to people's opinions. But I look back at that as one of my best opportunities, and really latched onto that for years to come after that because of, that basically gave me reassurance that, I can do this and I love it. I freaking love this stuff. Love that. So that threw me in, and then lucked out, and it snowballed from there, getting reps, joining the union, doing all that. So yeah, man. Long-winded answer to tell you how I became an actor, but
No, bro, I was literally like, I had some questions in my mind, and then you started
yeah,
answering them as you were going. So we're synced. We're synced. I have a couple questions though. So
you talk for a
you're
while. I'll
when
keep.
you Google how to be an actor and you start like auditioning, did you know to get like sound boxes, good lighting, good sound? Like how do you audition like are you self-taping? I guess at this time this would have been like 2018, 2019, or
Yeah,
this was before the pandemic. So were you auditioning in person?
2017. Yeah. Mhm.
Were the auditions in person? Did you have to self-tape?
I was actually self-taping a lot, to be honest, even pre-COVID. I did mostly self-tapes, but I
Mhm.
occasionally did go into the city for in person
Yeah.
and other places too. Like that was probably way too far away, and just to show up in person. But yeah, and luckily from the video business had the soft boxes already, had tripods, had all that, so that helped for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely could have probably gotten more professional headshots and done the thing, but I just didn't know any better. Just kind of.
Yeah, dude, that's amazing. That's amazing. And then were you like you were self-submitting, so are we talking like Backstage, Actors Access, casting networks?
Yeah, of course,
Yeah.
all the good
Okay,
ones. Yeah.
dude. You're a self-made man, but I mean no one's ever a self-made man, but you're a disruptor, dude. Like you make the decisions, you take the leaps, and I'm freaking here for it. So,
Good.
okay.
Hopefully we all are, right? Hopefully we all are.
Amen. Amen. So you have this beautiful spark, I mean, you were like being absolutely guided throughout this process. Like you were genuinely in the right place at the right time. Again, another one of those awakenings, dude. I'm telling you, bro. Like thought you were going to do this, thought you were going to sign this, and then it opened a door for this thing to fly through. And within 3 months, like you're lead in a feature, which takes some people years to do. After that wraps, I mean, you have the confidence, you have now like really the education of I can actually do this. And like a lot of people, that's sometimes hard. There's like a lot of imposter syndrome, but now it's like you can do this. And
Yeah.
imposter syndrome definitely seeps in when you talk about that later. But what was it like after that job? Because sometimes it's like, are you booking, or is there like a month or 2 months where it's like not booking, then it's like, oh wait, is this like what's going on here? What's the journey been like?
Yeah, for sure. I think after that, I had a tremendous amount of confidence because of that. It was probably,
Mhm.
I don't know if it was probably a little ego just because of, that's a big thing to get right away. But it was also like I had a lot of confidence, and I had a lot of what I felt, at least, of like, okay, I learned a ton, first of all, on how to, which I'm sure maybe you could speak on, being number one on heavy hitters is just, I mean, time management when you're in that many scenes, trying to
Mhm.
keep your health in check, like just that stuff in general. But industry wise, it was for sure. I mean, I luckily secured a rep before the movie came out, so I didn't have to wait for the footage for that movie. I
Mhm.
had a really good amount of footage from like, I mean, a couple dozen short films and student films out the Wazam, But
Mhm.
so that helped a little bit. Um, it was like the craziest thing is getting your first rep and now auditioning for like the stuff you watch on TV.
Mhm.
That was insane to me. And that was something that I don't take for granted because getting reps is hard and like it's still it goes up and down. Like you switch reps. I've had reps retire. I've had reps, just not be very responsive. It's hard. It's a
Mhm.
typical thing to navigate. After that, dude, I luckily booked I was able to pay the bills off acting for maybe like 6 months or so before I had to kind of start considering getting into a little bit of a side job. So
Mhm.
I ended up getting into working on set, luckily. Through joining the union, I was able to get into doing a little bit of stunts and standing in and like body double stuff. So that
Mhm.
paid the bills for a long time,
Mhm.
like a long while. The
Yeah.
basketball stuff pays off too, because if there's when they need real players, I often get a shot to at least audition or try out, and it's been super helpful, especially if you need to like double an actor and make them look like they're playing ball for real or something.
Dude, wait, how many? Because I saw on your Instagram that it looked like
Yeah,
a commercial, but have you done a lot of like back? Because I mean, it's like the most frustrating thing. I mean, this was one of like Candace's big emphasis is on like a sports episodic, a sports film. Like
yeah,
there's so many examples of people not doing it at that caliber of level that they're portraying it as,
yeah.
and it's tough. Were you like the guy like they couldn't see your face, but you were like shooting or dribbling or?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes, or if like they need like stunt performers to like choreograph like a specific play and make
Mm,
it look. I've done a lot of that. I've probably done like maybe a dozen different shows or movies for literally just playing basketball, and then it'll help you. Like maybe they'll throw you a line, or maybe the team gets into a fight and they help you. I'm not a stunt guy like our boy Quentin is, but I'm not a trained fighter. I'm not like going to fall down some stairs, but I mean, I do a little bit of sports stuff and I've done a little bit of driving. But
dude,
when
that's
you
so
need that,
cool.
and then if there is an actor that I match physically, I'll double them
Hmm. That's
occasionally.
amazing.
But
That's amazing.
it's cool,
Um,
man. That's like a crazy like masterclass of watching them. That helped me tremendously as a filmmaker for sure. Just
mm,
watching the pros do it all day.
yeah, dude,
Dude.
that's wicked. I want to ask you about the education of being on set and
Yeah,
being a lead and the way you kind of carry yourself. But particularly the self-care that you're talking about that is truly required. Because I mean, I've been doing it for a couple years, but still I learned so much of what to do and what not to do and how to take care of yourself when you have like those 12-hour days and then you're not getting as much sleep. And I'm like such a regimented person, which
yeah,
maybe isn't the best thing to be when you have possibly get to like 16-hour days. I was listening to someone saying that Timothy Chalamet was working like 16-hour days, like 5 days a week. And like how do you lack of sleep and then trying to show up, trying to be present, trying to be optimized and like still be a great person on top of that. But like what is your self-care routine that you found for that first experience? And also you're taking in everything for the first time. And then how is it this like grown over the experiences?
I don't know, man. I don't know if I could have like a system down. If I'm being honest. I don't know if
Mhm.
I have one that I could recommend. Maybe you can speak to this a little. I think that if you don't prepare beforehand, the last thing you want is that you need your basic needs to be cut. Like you're on a shoot for, a matter of weeks or months or whatever it may be. If you're not prepared on the acting side, it's gonna be really hard to get yourself in order for your health or your sleep and all that. Because now you're worrying about, well, I have to be doing my job first.
Mhm.
Like Got to know my lines. I got to make some choices before I show up.
Yeah.
Be ready to rock. What about you though? Because
It-
do you
So
have like a system that you've kind of developed, or like,
not yet. It was funny
yeah,
because I like had a system that I didn't have a system was the problem, you know?
yeah,
And as time started, because I've been like living in the same spot. I don't have a ton of roommates, so I don't have to share a lot of things. Like I really have my own space and I've been in my own pocket for so long. So being in an environment around people that I truly love, but still you're sharing space is like new for me and my body. And then you're like working on set for a certain amount of days. It's also a lot of waiting, and the waiting can is almost worse than like the grinding acting, you know. And then it's like fine in the beginning, but then as time moves on, you're at the beginning of the second month, and then you're at the end of the shoot. And then you're also like, depending on the character, like having to go through emotional stuff where you're changing kind of the physiology of the body and like you're affecting your nervous system. Like I started to like break down and I really started like shut down physically. And I'm so big on a morning routine and a night routine. And that just
yeah.
got like, completely thrown out the window. So usually I'd like stretch, I do breath work, I'll like cold plunge, or like I'll even like meditate or like pray beforehand. And I just didn't do any of that. And I would just kind of like get to the point where you go to bed late and then you wake up early and then you roll out of bed and then you grab a bite to eat. I'm not a big coffee person, so I don't really like, use coffee to keep me going. And then I started getting like eczema, and it just like I started feeling uncomfortable in my own skin. It was really tough. And then even like I think moving forward, being on set, there's gonna be a lot of times where there is stillness and I can still do my meditation. I can still do my breath work and like set boundaries where like you don't I like want to be connected to everyone, but I can also I'm like such a not like because I'm introverted and extroverted in different environments, but
Yeah.
I like need my independence in a lot of ways. And sometimes if I'm too stimulated around people, it can like get to me. So I just need to like step out for a little bit. I'm a big nature guy too. That's like my medicine. So sometimes if I'm not grounded at all, that can be really challenging. And I just like, I don't know, just like so much like kind of trial and error. But I find just traveling in general, like I have a really good routine when I'm home, but when I travel, it goes out the window again. So really just making it a non-negotiable, I think is the way for me. And I already have so many over the last 4 or 5 years building so many kind of tools in my tool belt to like have that self-care. That I have a lot of methods, whether that's tapping or whether that's breath work or even like stretching, dude. And there's so many things that you can do, a cold shower in the
Yeah.
morning.
When did
Um,
you get into the breath work?
It was I had taken an emotional intelligence course a couple of times, but it was 2020, and he, as like a bonus class, he gave us this breathwork session. It was like a um what's a Tumo breathing breathwork. So it was basically like a transformational breathwork journey where it was like kind of the things that I actually got my certification in, but it's like an hour long breathwork session where you're breathing like for an hour. So it's like, bro, it'll change your life. And it changed my life, dude. Like straight up, like you do that and you get into this like deep subconscious state. And like I started sweating, I started like crying, I started getting really emotional. I was like a baby, dude. And I woke up like I was out of the womb and I saw colors for differently. And like I ran the
Oh my
next morning and I was so relaxed in my body and I just like felt like a different person. And I was like, holy shit. So I reached out. The guy's from Hawaii. His name was Sky Bear. It was lit.
God, that's
And I was so interested, and he like gave me a book. He recommended a book for me, and then I kind of like tossed it away. And
yeah.
then I watched Avatar: The Way of Water. Avatar is one of my favorite franchises, like Jim Cameron. I'm just like
Oh, nice.
deeply in love with his work and the world that he builds. And Avatar, dude, I had like a literal psychedelic experience watching that movie. Like I watched it in 3D IMAX, and then I went home and I just didn't want to talk to anyone, and I just journaled, and then I just like meditated for like an hour. And I got so fascinated by free diving through that movie, and breath was like really talked about in that movie. So then I started just looking about free diving, and then I started like doing like breath work, breath holds and stuff like that. And then I ended up finding this breath work like certification course, and I got like a crazy discount on it. So I'm like, you know what, let's do it. So then I started learning more about it. I started reading all the books about the breath, and like not even breath work journeys, but just like changing it. Like I was just breathing backwards my whole life, and I had asthma when I was a kid. So I just felt like it was all kind of connected in part to be my journey. And then through the
You teach it
certification,
now, right?
yeah, well, I don't do it as much.
Yeah.
This is where the entrepreneurship, when it's like tough in the beginning, like I struggle to keep staying consistent with it. But through this course, man, I was like, it was like a combination of everything that I loved. It was like I was able to make these um I would make playlists, so it was very musical. So I would make different um songs line up to create an actual experience. So there's like an arc to kind of the story. And then I would have like a script. So I would read it and it would be motivational and inspirational. And also kind of you're talking to the subconscious as they're, and then you're guiding them because some people, it gets really intense and people are crying and like they're having somatic experiences. And it's just like the coolest thing to kind of
That's insane.
experience. And yeah, so I don't really like do it as a business. I don't really promote it as much anymore, but it's
Yeah,
like whenever I need to reset my system, I'll do it. And it always scares me every single time, but
yeah,
it's like amazing what it feels like afterwards. And then through that, there's just like so many parasympathetic breath techniques that you can do to just calm your nervous system down when you're in a stressful
yeah.
environment, dude. Like even like it's basically like Wim Hof. So like Wim Hof is like 30. Do you know Wim Hof?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So like, and I find as like it's for men, especially like in like the men's space, sometimes being zen and in your like feminine energy, it can be hard to like sit in stillness. But act like breath work is so active and it's physical and it's like a sport in a way where you're pushing yourself like that. And I feel like it connects to it's a way to like kind of bridge that gap to connect with guys. So like if I'm having a panic attack, or maybe not that's a bad example, but if I'm feeling a little stressed you start changing your breathing and doing a little Wim Hof, like you just come right back to the present moment and it can help with anxiety in a lot of ways. So long-winded answer, long-winded answer. We're
Yeah.
getting this is your interview.
I
This is
have so
freaking
many questions eventually for you about that stuff.
dude, we're gonna dive into all of it. We're gonna dive into all of it. Okay. Where to go from here? All right, I want to talk about juvenile delinquents and wood walls. Was either of those the first feature film that you were talking about, or were these later on, like more
Oh,
recent?
yeah, the delinquent one was feature. Woodwells is a short, actually.
Okay, cool.
Really fun though. Made it during
Mm,
COVID with some buddies. It was great.
yeah.
I love that one.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. 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 And then you're a filmmaker as well. Do you, and I know you're a producer on some things. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't want to compare video like videography work to filmmaking, but in that world at least, learning about more lighting and camera work and especially working on set, learning how these professionals are setting up the shot and watching them do it and doing it with them for hours and years. That helped tremendously with making our own stuff. So I have a really solid group of people that I've met over the year in New York City, and it was just, I mean, we've made shorts, we've made comedy sketches, we're workshopping feature films that we're trying to look into funding for and do ourselves, and everyone's met through kind of these different jobs on set. Like we'll throw PAs that we met while we're maybe acting on set. We'll throw everyone in who's also all hustling on the side to ultimately be some sort of director, filmmaker, producer, in their own career path. And we'll make stuff together, and it's incredibly fulfilling. So that is where some of the producing comes in, and I mean, dare I say, man, it's pretty. We're getting pretty legit with it. We're getting pretty good. I mean, we just made a short about a month ago. My buddy Kiernan was the writer director of it, but we whipped together this crew of people I've probably known. I mean, some of them 7, 8 years now, and just really whipped it together. The best of the best gear. Everyone's a pro. Everyone knows, set etiquette, walkie etiquette, everything because we work constantly on set, and we're, out here hustling, making a short or making whatever it may be. So that's been incredible. That's where most of that work comes in. And then if someone does like need extra hands or needs like somebody to be like, okay, I need a UPM or like a line producer to, just whip this together and logistically help this go smoothly. I'm all about that. I think that's
Mm.
something that I'm super interested in. I don't know if you have learned like felt this after Heavy Hitters, but it was, I mean, dude, I crave the camaraderie that comes with making stuff. And
Mhm.
I honestly, I probably shouldn't even say this, but like, I don't even care as much about the finished product. I straight up love the people and the camaraderie and the process of putting on and producing something together. I think it's amazing, dude. Maybe that comes from sports, or maybe that just comes from being around the right type of people. I could, dude, around the right type of people, I could stay up all night, no sleep, and just hang and just crack jokes and just be, I mean, you know, it's
Mhm.
just, that is definitely one of the biggest things that I've really realized through that whole process. But any of those jobs I find super interesting. I think film production in general is super unique. You have all these departments and all these moving parts kind of coming together smoothly to make some like vision that's just on the page come to life. How cool is that? I mean, yeah, I'm going to do whatever job you want me to do. You want me to block off the street corner and be a production assistant? Sure. You need me to help, pick up lunch? Like, yeah, like let's make something. You need me to be your first AD and make sure the day runs smoothly. I don't care. Like, what are we making? You want me to act in it? Like it's just fun.
Mhm. Dude, that's like such a mindset is everything I feel like in this industry too. And like with that mindset, that creates longevity, truthfully, because if we're so results oriented and focused on the outcome we just genuinely cannot control at this
Yeah.
point. We can manipulate through marketing and do certain things here and there, but ultimately we do it for the love of the craft and we do it for all those reasons that you just listed. And bro, I'm excited to just keep working with you, bro. I just want to be on set with you all day. Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's go.
man. I'll be seeing you a lot this summer, hopefully. Be good.
Amen. Amen. And I love that, dude. Like your side, like quote unquote side jobs and side hustles are all geared towards the creative arts and in this like industry. Because I was just talking about that with somebody, and it can be really energetically draining to like put your energy towards something that isn't building certain skills that help towards. Granted, I think everything serves in certain ways. Like there's a lot of skills in the restaurant industry that you can learn that help being on set, being multitasking and all that stuff. But
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think
dealing with people for sure. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Alrighty, now I got so many questions, but we're gonna have to wrap up soon. But I want to talk about the Upright Citizens Brigada.
Oh no, how'd you
A
know that?
little improv. What was improv like for you? I feel like you were talking about you
Yeah.
just like, shooting it with your friends and like being light and you have a comedic bone and muscle that is so delightful. So what was it like when you introduced yourself to the group of people and kind of what was
Yeah.
improv like and how did it make you feel and yeah.
It was awesome, man. It was awesome. I love improv. I think it stems back to being like emceeing in high school, I think, and seeing the high school improv troupe kind of do their thing. And I was like, man, these guys are solid. They're sharp. They're quick. That was fun. Um, yeah, kind of leaning into. I mean, a lot of the roles I play are not comedic. Funny enough, just I think that kind of comes. Maybe you get this sometimes, but maybe we get boxed into kind of the jock or like more of the more serious. I play a lot of bullies, uh, but it's definitely something that I love, and I love consuming comedy. So I think that was like the initial interest in it, and then do UCB. I'm sure you've heard of a ton of people go there, but it's what a blast, man. I was surprised to learn like kind of more of their like style and format of how to put on like they center their format a lot around like the herald structure of kind of an improv performance, which really cool. But in that kind of finding, the game of the scene and kind of finding ways to actively listen are all things I feel like helps you become a better actor too. But it's great,
Mhm.
man. I would recommend it. Yeah, you
Yeah.
considering getting into a little improv?
Dude, I would love to. It scares the heck out
Yeah.
of me, which is why I want to do it, And it's funny because
Everyone's bad when you start too. I feel like it's just
yeah,
no
it's a strange thing where when I was younger, I loved giving like speeches, but when I would give a speech, I would have to memorize it because I didn't trust myself to like have bullet points and then just like riff from it. And after doing the podcast, like I don't do well if it's too structured. Like I don't do well if it's like you give a presentation, I'm like reading off of it. It has to be word perfect. I'm better if there's, and that just is just like a muscle that you're kind of working. And improv is just we improv every day during life. And sometimes like it's at least for me, I find I'm like not one of those actors that's like acting in real life. I like to like be myself in real life, but when I'm given permission to like be ferocious or fearful or sad or like angry, like all those different colors. I like can turn it on and go like 100%. And with improvs and like it's like a not unless I give myself permission to like cut away the net with like and I just don't put myself in enough positions to be able to like do that because if I like kind of think if I'm in my because I grew up in my head a lot and this is a conversation that we can have later but like I was very much a thinker and not a doer and it's crippling bro and it's crippling and
Oh, I'm
the
100%.
best moments are spontaneous and the best most like spiritual acting moment I had was in exercise where it was improvisational and we had our characters, we had our objectives, and then the tactics changed, but it was just listening and responding. And it was just like the coolest, most you're so present in improv. And I think that's everything. And I want to ask, do you do a lot of commercials? Because I know improv is like so great, such a great skill to have for commercials too. Do you ever
But short answer is no, man. I don't. I would love to. I mean, so even circling back to the producing stuff too, like I feel like I sabotage myself as an actor a lot because of all the other stuff that I like to do. And I completely, realize, oh yeah, I should probably put more effort into booking as an actor too, instead of making all this stuff and just kind of feeling great energy and great people. But no, I don't. I've been on a good amount of commercials. I've been lucky enough to play basketball in a couple of commercials and make some good money on commercials as well sometimes. But I'm not regularly booking them. I'm not regularly auditioning for them.
Mhm.
It'd be fun though.
Yeah.
We'll do some of those like exaggerated ones, like some Super Bowl style, like super comedic ones. That'd be fun.
Yeah, dude.
Like
Yeah.
maybe like a voiceover for a truck commercial.
Have you ever done voiceover? Do you do voiceover?
No, I haven't. I've done very little.
Dude,
What about
I know it's funny because we were talking like we're dinosaurs, but we're still like just getting started, bro. We are just getting started.
No, for sure, dude. For sure. Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot of things to look
Do you
forward
have
to.
interest in voiceover and commercial work and all that? Because I feel like I see you doing like you did like some Under Armour stuff recently. You did like
Yeah, the Under Armour, it's
yeah.
fit modeling, so it's not actually like there's no cameras.
Okay.
You're kind of just like a human mannequin, which has been a blessing because it's like the
Yeah.
only consistent job I've ever like booked before. Um, with commercials, it's funny because I had like a mindset shift when I was younger. I wasn't really booking, but I didn't understand self tapes. I didn't understand lighting or like backdrops and stuff, and I just would get like maybe an audition a month and I wouldn't book it and be like, I hate this. And I would like resent it. I'm like, screw these people. I want to be an actor, you know? But realistically, like it's the work, the jobs that I have done on, which like still isn't even a ton, but um, it's, it's quick. It's pretty easy. It's fun. Like you get to connect. You get the biggest sets I've been on have been commercial sets, and you still get to work that muscle. And granted, you're not doing like backstory and like creating maybe full characters, but it's just always like there's only one time where it felt really mechanical to the point where it's like it was the end of the week and everyone just wanted to go home. But for the
Yeah.
most part, it's just like a lot of fun. It pays the bills really well, and you still get to like add some source of creativity because I was like, there's no
Yeah.
creativity in that. You just kind of show up and do your thing, and then but I think I mean it is cool, and the more commercials like the merrier, like I think it's a
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just your own set and like you're around again creative people, and you never know what can lead to this and that, and yeah, I got a dude Rothstein, bro. I was at the YMCA and saw that kid's face on the screen. I'm like,
Guy is a
he's
magnet.
he's a hustler though too, and
Yeah.
he
No,
because he's funny, he has like commercial agents in different markets, and I that's something I'm gonna start looking
yeah.
into a lot more is really just building representation because it's such a it's a preparation meeting opportunity, it's a spiritual
Yeah.
alignment thing, but it's also um a numbers game, it really is. So the more kind of people you got in your corner, definitely helpful. But voiceover, bro, I'm not as confident in my voiceover, but I can play. I actually did a table read with a friend,
Yeah.
and everyone started doing these voices because we're all kind of animals, and I was like this kid, and I was able to kind of like be young and juvenile, and then I just had this
What's a
fox
little
character, and
thinking?
he was a little sly.
What's a little,
But the fox, I was watching a lot of uh Dawson's Creek, and Joshua Jackson just got this charisma. And there's something about Boston where he's just living kind of like it's a little raspy back here, and he's just like,
you're a
he's
little
just
kid.
doing the thing, and
Cute.
he's just talking, and he's just and this Fox is always
Yeah.
talking about himself in the third person, and it's just crazy. And I was just like, that was kind of fun. And then I can like but I'm like also I like having like such a technical proficiency in something that I don't have to think about it. Like if I'm thinking about my lines, it's trash. Like if I've studied the voice and I know technically, like I have. It's funny because my mom is like very warm and sparkly and bubbly, and my dad's very
Yeah,
analytical and competent. And I have kind of both of those brains, I guess, or like that kind of artsy, fartsy, airy brain, and then also like that grounded analytical brain.
sure.
So I do wish I would like to study more. Like I'd love to have a dialect coach. I'd love to have a movement coach. Like at some point in my career, I'd love to have like a coach for everything to keep kind of refined.
Imagine, dude, imagine you just had the time to just get good at all of the cool extra skills all the time. You just whip out accents left and right. You just
Man,
major tool belt.
would have been a great time, great time. But yeah,
Sure.
dude, it's and it's I've listened to a lot of people say there's like voiceover can be particularly challenging to get into because you're not in front of a camera. So you have, I mean, the best voice actors in the world, they just kind of keep recycling them because they can do all the different colors of the rainbow, you know.
Uh,
But unless you're like, Tom Holland and like you start popping off as an actor, then you're more of like a name brand voiceover. But I don't really want to like play myself. I would love to like voice a different thing, and like and do that. So we'll see though. We'll see where the world takes us. But Mark Keegan, bro, Mark Keegan, this kid, keep an eye out for him. I'm telling you, he's gonna do some voice acting,
really
some dubbing. Yeah, he
awesome,
like
dude. I
he
loved his episode on here. What a
dude, he
That's the type of person I like to be around, man. Exactly, right there.
dude,
Awesome guy.
it's unbelievable.
Yes,
He was
Eddie.
rocking the crazy shades, just like firecracker energy all the time. And I'm telling you, he's the most powerful manifestor I've ever met in my entire life. Similarly to you, like he booked heavy in the first like 4 months of starting his acting career, So, and he's just there's a confidence, there's a fire, and then you also got to have the talent. It's just
Yeah.
really cool. It's a
I mean,
good
look
group. You
who's
got to do
talking,
it.
man. Just talking to the cast from Heavy Hitters. You two, your two names come up constantly as people who just people love to be around, and that's like truly like can do no wrong. Like you guys are like seriously great examples of great leaders on set and great examples of human beings. And I really think that you guys have an awesome friendship. I admire that between you two. Dude, I want to say something for the audience here. We were gearing up for Heavy Hitters last in the summerish, and I get a little DM from Andrew Larkin. First interaction here. I'm going to read this here. Says, bro, I'm so stoked to work with you on Heavy Hitters and learn from you as we bring this thing to life. It's going to be a whole lot of fun, and you got a brother for life now. So if you ever need an ear or anything, don't hesitate to reach out. I'll see you on the diamond. What a class act, man. I will say, dude, like I really respect it. I love what you're doing with the pod. Seriously. Looking forward to working with you and hanging with you, man. Seriously.
It's been there's like the crazy gift that keeps on giving because I was telling people I'm like I got to like really connect with people on heavy, but there is only like again we're working to a degree and like this podcast like I've had so many guys on and dude my mom loves everyone. She loves everyone. She's like you have like the best group of guys and I'm able to like really connect and like dive deeper with people and it's just I'm like this is what sometimes you can be on set and like the energy can get like sucked from you and so your energy's pulling in all different directions and then there are things that you got to find ways to build your battery back up. And like this is it. In a
Yeah.
lot of really cool ways. And I've been feeling it's been a weird, last 4 or 5 years. We can dive into this another time later too, where it's like I feel like I've been on like almost a mountaintop, like really kind of isolated. Like I don't party as like really anymore. I don't really have those friends that push me to go out on weekends and like do this and do that. And I've just been like I read just a lot of self-help books, a lot of growth, a lot of like discovering myself, my values, my wants, my desires, and trying to step into the person that I want to be. And I truly believe that like attracts like. And I just heard so many stories about the industry and like who actors are and like these personas, and they're all assumptions, but everyone, like not everyone, but like the majority, like 99% of people, like I'm blown away, dude, with like the attraction of guys who are young and also spiritual and down to earth and like have a big heart in their heart and just like are talented and like doing the thing and like we're out here like we're not yes we're like competing but we're not at the same time dude because like as we like build that brothership like we just one person blows up we all kind of like we rise together dude and like when you kind of lead life with that mentality it's more fun, it's more collaborative. We're not in a scarcity mindset, dude. We're living in abundance because if I didn't get it and someone else got it, that was meant for him, and then the next one was for me. Or like, it's just I, I try to
Absolutely.
like reframe it in a certain way and lead with that light, and then it just like kind of attracts it. And then if I'm feeling down, then like I'm around other people that do it, and like we just keep growing and building together.
Yeah,
And there is a lot of darkness in this industry, and I think the way that we show up, the way that we carry ourselves, can make a lot of change, dude. Can make a lot of change. And
no
you're
doubt.
you're you're
I love that.
100% one of those guys, bro. You're 100% there, and I'm freaking
Yeah.
blessed, dude. All right, we gotta slowly start wrapping this up, but
Okay.
we talked about the past, talked about the present, dive into a little bit about the future. I'm a little on edge about asking this question because at some points I'm like, I like the idea of
Yeah.
speaking out, manifesting. What do I want? How do I like, when do I want it? But I also like keeping it close to your chest and then working in silence and then letting the work speak for itself. So I'll let you answer this however feels right. It could be a mood board, it could be a vision board, it could be colors, it could be feelings, it could be a week from today, months, year, 5 years, 10 years. What kind of things do you want to attract? And what do you want that future to look or feel like?
Ooh. Okay. Um, what type of things I want to attract, and what do I want the future to feel and look like?
Yeah, it could be any goals or any, again, feelings or certain things that you really value, things that you want to step into, businesses that you want to start, like
Sure, yeah. No,
anything.
that's a great question. Um, I doing more of what I love for sure. I think everyone's dream, if you love doing this as a process, I feel like should be to do what you love all the time with the people you want. When we brought up Mark, he had that awesome job on Happy Gilmore, and when I actually hopped on a couple of days as well on that, and it was so cool to see Sandler basically using the same crew that he's used for his whole career, and cracking jokes constantly all day, entertaining everybody else who's working, and making stuff that they love to do, and it's I think that would be career wise something that I would love to aim for is to just make stuff on your own terms with the people that you love and do it at a high level. It's anyone can write a script, get a camera, and call themselves a filmmaker, but definitely to do it at a high level with the people you love and bring them up with you, I think that would be great. Other stuff outside career, um, yeah, man. I think it's just good. It comes down to people again. I want to be around people that I like being around. I think that's that. Stay healthy.
Mhm. Amen, brother. Amen. All right, we got some because we're a very official podcast on here. We got some rapid fire questions. Some of these a little bit silly. Some of these are a little bit more sincere. Um, and let's rock and roll. All right, my brother Phil. What would you say right now brings you the most joy?
Hmm. Let's do working out, maybe. Yeah.
Mhm.
Rapid fire.
Top four values.
Top four values. I'm going to say curiosity, humor, kindness, adventure. Can that be one?
Great answers. Great answers. All right, now as I was saying with the intention for this podcast, and I was kind of going around the world with that, I realized that one of my intentions is I really want to celebrate the guests that are on here, and I think sometimes it can be really challenging to acknowledge ourselves for some of the things that we've done, the things that we've accomplished, the things that we've overcome. And I want to ask you the first thing that kind of pops to your mind as you reflect on this beautiful life that you've led. What is a moment that you were really proud of yourself for?
Hmm.
Moment of pride.
Really proud of myself. Wow. That's a great question. I feel like people need to think about this more, including me.
Mhm.
Um,
Dude, it's like it's so easy to dish out compliments to other people, but then when we like try to, at least for me, like it's really hard to like kind of receive it sometimes, and then also like acknowledge my own stuff. So this is where you can toss humility away for a little bit, and
yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe I don't know. I find a lot of find a lot of that in just like some of the daily wins for sure. Um, Good question. Maybe I did I recently started running marathons, and I feel like the first one I got a really solid like try at like fully seeing through a training process and completing the race. So I feel like that's maybe something I'm proud of for sure. Something the process needs some tweaking, but that was a proud moment, I guess.
Dude, that's huge. That's a great answer. It's a great answer. What is your spirit animal, would you say?
Spirit animal. What's yours? Can I hear yours first?
You know mine? It's a little.
Yeah,
So
what's
mine's a turtle, and I'll
turtle?
tell you why. I'll tell you
Yeah,
why.
tell me
When I
what.
was a kid, we had a boxer turtle in our backyard, and he bit my finger, so that I have like a weird connection with the turtle. I was also like,
You like
I
powers?
was never like, I never like, I was like more, I guess, introverted, you would say. And when I was growing up, I was kind of really kept to myself. But it's like the one thing, when you're with family, I'm like crazy. And then when I'm with people and I feel like I don't fit in, I didn't give myself permission. And then I kind of like stay
Yeah.
tucked. And when I started going out with my buddies sophomore year, we started drinking, we started partying. The alcohol, the inhibitions kind of went down. The real crazy, fun, goofy Andrew came out, and I just like wouldn't shut up. And like my friends were just like, Larkin's coming out of his shell. So it's like the turtle metaphor of that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then in like Avatar, I guess like the last Airbender, there's something about turtles are, and I was always like, had an athletic background where like I was always like very fast. I was like the running back and like on the basketball court, but
Yeah.
I always walk really slow, dude. I just like taking my time. And there's something about just like being slow that I really am like here for. So I'm not like a hare. I'm definitely more of a
Yeah.
tortoise. And then there's something grounded about like I'm also an earth sign and like being in nature. I love the water too. They go back and forth and they're like there's some kind of wisdom. I feel like ancient wisdom in tortoises and like
Sure.
yeah. So that was a long-winded answer, but
Yeah, dude. And you love eating vegetables and berry and bugs and no, I'm just kidding.
dude, all day, all day.
Nice. Just regular turtle though, not sea turtle or anything
Not gonna
special.
lie, sea turtles are. It might be sea turtle, honestly.
Might
Sea
be sea.
turtles are pretty
You're a big ocean guy, right? Like I feel
huge
like
ocean guy, but I'm also a huge nature guy. Like I mean, just like because I'm like between ocean
yeah,
and like, water and earth, and I don't really know. But sea turtles are like way more majestic and they're big and they're
yeah,
Crush from Finding Nemo is like top 10 greatest characters of all time, and
yeah,
yeah, yeah, that's a good. That's a good. I'll have to meditate on that one.
yeah, for
But
sure.
what about you? What about you?
I don't know. Probably something that's like a pretty hyper person, maybe something that's like doesn't stay still very much or I don't know. I mean, I like the water too, but I also like, I don't know, maybe it flies. Help me out here. What do we think? Let
Oh god, let me go through my animal kingdom.
me think of it. Is there like a flying fish? You never got that
There
one
is a
on.
flying fish, dude. I've seen it where they like jump out and they hit that.
It's just-
Yeah, that's you. We're gonna
There you go, dude. First on the pod. All right.
first on the first
Flying
first
fish. Yeah. Nice. Final answer, locking it in.
in the scientific name for a flying fish is an exo. Oh, that's like a real scientific name.
Yeah, maybe not.
Maybe it's just literally called the flying fish. Oh crap.
All right. I'm just gonna.
Yeah, it's got the thing. Look at this. This is like a fairy creature. This looks like one of the
That's
animals
me. That's
from
me, man.
Avatar. That's you,
Yeah.
bro.
Man, that thing's
I think
ugly.
it's trippy. That's awesome. That's a great answer, dude. I think it's super cool, super nuanced. All right. This is a bit of a doozy, so I'll let you think about
Okay.
this. But what is
Oh,
a book, a movie, or a TV character that you say is most like you?
oh my gosh. It's just studied. Okay. Hmm. Dude, I'm going Troy Bolton High School Musical. The perfect
Dude, you are so Troy Bolton. Oh, you are so Troy Bolton.
maybe if you throw in like a little bit more like craziness, and then that's me. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's,
Troy Bolton. He's like kind of not, and he's not like boring, but he's not
yeah, he's
like
kind of calm, man.
he's a little vanilla. He's a little vanilla. Dude, did people ever call you like my sister would be like, hey, dude, I like, never had the courage to do a play in high school though. Ah, dude, you'd be a sick Troy Bolton. Okay, no, you're you. You're the next iteration of Troy
Oh,
Bolton.
thank you.
Okie dokie. What? All right, you talked about comedy. I want to know what's your favorite comedy? What do you think is the best comedy, like film?
Dude, this is a hot take.
Let's go.
I don't spend a lot of time consuming a lot. So I'm like, it's hard, it's tricky. I don't know. I'm really into I'm really into stuff that's quotable. So like anything that's like I could quote and constantly like Aiden and I we're just riffing constantly during this last shoot that we just like quoting whatever, which anything like that. So like I don't know if I have one, but anything that's kind of like an anchor man, like the other guys, like the I don't know, dare I say Wolf of Wall Street, where it's just like ridiculous, like quotable comedy. I think that those are super funny.
It's a great answer. Great answer. What is your comfort film? Might not be your favorite film, but it's kind of one that you come back to.
Oh man, probably something like some war movie, probably where it's nice. I can sleep to it, and it's like, uh, it might be military, probably. I'm gonna go Top Gun Maverick, the new Top Gun.
Great film. Are you gonna see F1? I heard it's like the
I'd love to, man. I'd love to see everything that's out right now. I've been super bad about movies lately. What about you?
Yeah, no, I'm like kind of on a kicker right now, dude. I was in Baltimore the other day and I was with a buddy and we went to this like race car. Like I actually drove a race car for the first time in like years.
How
And
fast did you
and it's
go?
like I don't know. I don't know. I clocked the course
Ah,
under 20 seconds though, which wasn't bad. I came in there I got cooked by a little this little like 14-year-old dude. He like kind of like I made a move and then he cut through me and then he gave me one of those waves. It's kind of electric. I got deuced, but it was a lot of fun. And then there's this show Senna about kind of like it's a Netflix show about F1. And then me and my mom and my little sister on Saturday, we're gonna watch F1 on a 4DX theater. I've never done 4DX before. It's like the chairs that move and it's like immersive. So it's gonna be like a full body experience. And I'm a little nervous, I'm not gonna
no.
lie, but
Yeah, dude, what if there's a crash in the film? Do they?
we would get cooked. The fire starts flowing out, the wind.
Oh my God, it's so real. That's crazy.
Would be pretty cool. All right, final meal. Final meal.
Meal? Hmm. I mean, dude, there's so many that would be good, but I gotta go. You gotta go pizza, right? I mean, that's
Ooh, where
you
where
could go. You could go like steak, maybe, but like, cause like I'm a big steak guy, but then you got burgers and wings. Those are good staples. I gotta go pizza, man. It's a boring answer, but who
what
doesn't?
what kind of pizza and where from?
Ooh, let's do pepperoni sausage. I mean, any solid New York spot. Big fan of New York pizza, probably. But
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. New York, you don't have to go too crazy on toppings because you just get a real quality slice. Locking that in though, pizza.
Great
What
stuff.
about
Great
you?
stuff.
What's yours?
You keep flipping the script on me, man. I
Have you picked out? You're asking? What?
yeah, dude. I would be that kind of guy who would it would be a steak because like
Yeah.
it would be steak with I'm trying to think of like some of my favorite like sides, whether that's like a sweet potato casserole or something, and like because like I'm usually super healthy, but if it's my final meal, fuck it, you know. So like
Butter,
just
all sorts of
leave
stuff.
that curse word there, but um. Yeah, or yeah, I don't eat out much though. That's the thing. I
Yeah.
kind of just cook the same old boring stuff. So I like
Okay.
yeah, but like you get a good place where they marinate that thing like real nice. I don't know,
Yeah.
dude. Gina makes some banging Korean food. I could eat that all day too.
Yeah. I heard this. That's
The
wild.
the marinade on the meat, I mean, it's
Wow.
different. It's different. All right, we're almost there. We're almost there. All right, so Philip, you live an unbelievably beautiful abundant life. I mean, you grow and you keep creating stories. You have your business, and your business blows up and it's expansive, and you hire people that you love to work with, and you're working with people that you love, and you're telling stories. You're doing the comedies, you're doing the dramas, you're building, and then you connect with great people in the industry, and you keep rising and rising and rising. And then you build your own production company, you're telling stories, and you're giving back, and you're starting nonprofits, and you're building a great family, and you're just living a deeply uh, valued and impassioned, and you're growing every single day, and you're giving back, and you're playing basketball with your grandkids, and you're healthy and you're fit and you live to be like 140 years old. But ultimately, your time is up. It's time to move on to whatever that next phase is. But it's the day of your funeral, and all your friends and your families and your loved ones are at your funeral. What do you want them to say about you, and how do you want to be remembered, and what do you want to leave behind?
Hmm, that's a great question. Um, I hope they say, he was fun to be around. He was a really good friend, and man, was he a good kisser. Yeah. What would I leave behind? I don't know, maybe a little cash, but I'd make it like a treasure hunt probably, and like kind of make them go find it. Maybe I'd bury it somewhere, and they'd have to do that. So that's probably yeah.
That's actually a really cool idea. Like I'm not even joking. That's like for the grandkids, dude, to be like a little plot, or maybe it's not money, but it's some kind of opportunity, some kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, just a little exploration. It's kind of like Without a Paddle, if you've ever seen that film. And just like being young, get like a really crappy compass and just go on a hunt with your buddies. That'd be really cool. That'd be really cool. And
Cool idea.
finally, let's say there's a kid out there who's maybe not 13, maybe he's like 16, 17 in high school, pulling in all these different directions, feeling like he has to make a decision, but he doesn't know what he wants to do, and he's kind of torn and he's kind of lost, and he wants to be an artist, but he doesn't know how to get into it, and he's kind of just
Hmm.
struggling to fight through all the resistance and the BS and the stories and the self-limiting beliefs and all that stuff. What kind of advice would you have for a young kid going through something like that?
Just keep doing stuff, man. Just get busy. I would say get busy. You gotta try things immediately, fail a lot. It's the only way you're gonna get there, in my opinion. You just gotta load up the schedule, man. Start working, start trying things, testing it out. Do you think you might like it? Go ahead and do it. Make your own stuff. I don't know. Take a risk. YOLO.
Mic drop, take a risk. Let's go, dude. Phil Blevins, man, I appreciate you so much, dude. You are such a light. And again, it's been like a year of knowing each other, but I mean, I'm just so excited to keep diving deeper. We're gonna play some free. I'm like so excited that you are like an OG basketball player because I've been wanting to play. Dude, I like didn't pick up a basketball for like 4 years at one point. And I'm like, I gotta start doing things that I love again. And like, you know what I'm saying? Like I didn't love it at one point, and then you like
Yeah.
remove yourself from it, and then you just play for fun and you connect and you exercise from it. I'm just so excited to continue to build our relationship, dude. I'm just so excited to see what you continue to bring to the world, bro. And like the stories you're gonna tell, the smile you're gonna put on people's faces, bro. It's just gonna be freaking intoxicating, and I'm so stoked for it. But before I let you go, let the
Yeah.
audience know, where can we find you? Where can we support you on this journey?
Oh man. Can you find me? Well, I mean, I'm on all the usual places, Instagram and whatnot. But yeah, hopefully in the movie theater at some point. Yeah.
Great answer. That's a great answer. Haha. All right, my brother. I love you. I will see you freaking soon. Safe travels, and dude, let's keep on rocking, baby. Let's keep on rocking.
Thank you, man. Love you too. Appreciate it. Love what you're doing here.